What's going on, Shred Sessions viewers? Drew Creel here. Before we get into the Ray Suhy interview, I just wanted to share a couple things that are coming up on Shred Sessions. So thank you, first of all, to anybody that watches this show, that drops a comment, that likes the video. This really helps me a lot. What I'm trying to do is grow this show, get bigger guests, and just get more things happening on this channel. That's kind of the goal. This started off a little over a year ago as just a way of interviewing my friends that are in the metal scene, and it's quickly grown into something that people want to be a part of the show. They want to come on the show and talk, which I am truly honored and blessed that anybody would want to hang out with me at my house and film a podcast. So if you are interested in being on the show, if you have seen the show and you know somebody that will want to be on the show, or you have a contact in the music industry that you want to share with me, I would love to get more guests. I'd love to get more of the higher profile guests if at all possible, although I'm always down to interview local bands, up-and-coming artists. So a couple new things that are coming up on the channel. We've got this thing called Crowd Kill Confessions that will be dropping very soon. Basically, I take a microphone and a camera to a metal show here in Nashville, and I talk to people. I talk to the band members. I talk to the people attending the show. It's a pretty wild and crazy, fun little concept, but I think you guys are going to be highly entertained by that video when it comes out. I recently went to the Hunt the Dinosaur show. I got to interview Hunt the Dinosaur, which was really sick. So that will be dropping very soon. And then after that, I have another Crowd Kill Confessions episode that's going to be coming out from the show of The Human Condition, Autumn Lies Buried, Moru, East of Eden. I interviewed a bunch of those bands. Pretty much every band that played that night, I talked to someone in the band. So that's coming up soon. Something that would help me is if you shared the episode on your socials, reshare it, repost it if you see a clip that you like. Like the clips, the more comments that we get, the better. If you do those things, it's really going to help the show. It's really going to help expand the horizons for what is possible on Shred Sessions, and we want to take it to the moon if we can. We want to go as far as we can with this show. I'm having a great time doing this. It's only up from here, baby, so here we go. Okay, everybody, Ray Suhy. He's the guitar player for 6 Feet Under. He also played in a band called East of the Wall way back in the 2000s. He played guitar in the band Cannabis Corpse, as well as Waking the Cadaver. He's currently the touring guitar player for Waking the Cadaver as well. So really fascinating guy to talk to. We definitely nerded out big time on guitar stuff. If you're a guitar player, you do not want to miss this episode. Ray is a national treasure of a guitar player, in my opinion, because he plays really high-level jazz and death metal guitar. The guy can basically play anything. He has this really cool experimental prog rock band called Gematria. The music that him and Steve put out, as two guys, is just truly groundbreaking, in my opinion, really interesting to listen to. It's very old school fusion kind of vibes, but it's just really creative and interesting and cutting edge music, in my opinion. Ray is a fantastic guy and guitar player, and I'm so happy to have him on the show. So without further ado, here is Ray Suhy, everybody. Ray, what's up, man?
Not too much, Drew. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude, thanks for doing this. So you're off the road right now.
Yeah.
So what does that look like for you when you're at home, man?
Yeah, so when I'm not touring, I'm mostly teaching. I teach online, pretty much exclusively now. So I do that on lessonface.com and also privately. So yeah, I'll teach a bunch of lessons and practice and hang out here in Jersey for a while. I also play in Waking the Cadaver, and we do one-off shows here and there. So like for example, this weekend we're going to Texas and play a show. So yeah, that's pretty much what I get up to when I'm not on the road with 6 Feet Under.
Very cool, man. And I want to get into, asking you questions about touring as well.
Sure.
But how did you go about starting to teach guitar? And maybe you've always taught guitar, I don't know. But I know you're a Berkeley graduate, but...
Oh, no, I didn't graduate. Yeah, we can get into that too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm also a guitar teacher, man.
Nice.
And I teach online with my website, but I'm just kind of
cool.
curious, like, how do you go about getting students, man? Do people just hit you up on Instagram, or how do they reach out to you?
Yeah, so just to go back a bit, I've been teaching almost as long as I've been playing. When I started playing guitar, I'm actually self-taught to a point. We can get there later too, but so as soon as I could play a little bit, I started teaching my friends bass and stuff so I could jam with people and have a band, you know. So and I always liked helping people learn music. So just from the get-go, I was kind of doing that. And I think I started around 17 in a guitar store teaching lessons, and just been going ever since. Nowadays, getting students is kind of it's all over the place. Really, it can be local recommendations from people here that I know. It can be people have seen some gear demos that I do for companies like Godlike, who did Maxon pedals for a while, and they have their own brand, TWA. And it can be just from, Instagram stuff. And honestly, the lessonface.com site is great. I get a lot of students on there who don't even know what I do half the time. They just like my profile and they like the video that I have and the way I describe my teaching. So I'm fortunate. It's been a steady stream for a few years now, which is good.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. I have a small but mighty force of students that I'm working with, and it's been great. But I have been trying to kind of get my name out there. I mean, it probably helps when you're in a bigger band, I would imagine.
Yeah, but, that does help sometimes. Yeah, but like I said, if you put out some good, I mean, you have tons of great videos online. So and you have obviously have this podcast and everything. I think when people see you're cool, you can talk, and you're laid back and everything. You know what I mean? And once they have a lesson with you, they're stuck with you, for a bit anyway. But I tend to keep my students for a long time. I like to I'd like to just get to know them and get to know what they need, and then help them out.
That's great, man. So dude, earlier this spring, you were on tour with 6 Feet Under, and I believe you actually played the Basement East in Nashville, man.
Yeah, that was the first show. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, awesome, dude. Yeah. I know Christian was there. I wasn't able to make it out that night. Yeah. But how has it been, like, being a part of 6 Feet Under for several years now, since, like, I think around 2015, and you've actually had a hand in writing some of these songs? What's it like now playing these tunes that you've written live?
Yeah, so actually, I haven't written anything with 6 Feet Under. So
really? Is that more Jack Owen?
I only do the solos. Yeah. So So I joined the band in 2016. I think 2016 or so. And that was cool. That was a step up for me. I was playing in Cannabis Corpse at the time. We had a record, and I did one record with them called Left Hand Pass, where I wrote about 3/4 of that and played all the guitars and everything on it. And then what happened was Phil from Cannabis Corpse was producing 6 Feet Under, and I played some solos on their records before I was even in the band. So when Steve Swanson left the band, Chris Barnes actually, I think he wrote me on Twitter, actually. Yeah. And then we talked, and I joined the band then. And that was cool, because like my second show was at the With Full Force Festival in Germany to 20,000 people, something like that. So that
gosh.
That was a big trip. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it's been
wild.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's so like, even if I don't write any of the songs, getting to play my solo sections live is pretty cool.
For sure.
we did the song No Nothing Ain't Great on the last tour, and there's a big solo feature in that one.
I just jammed that song, actually. Funny enough.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Dude, you're so awesome at improvising, man. And I also, I listened to your jazz record. I want to like get to all the different projects that you're in, but I sort of want to go in order, I guess, starting with the metal stuff, and then we'll kind of work our way into that. But I just think your improvising and your background in jazz, I think it only informs your metal guitar playing, man.
Yeah, big time.
And I think it would be sick if you wrote some riffs for 6 Feet Under as well. Does Jack handle most of that?
Jack's doing most of that now since he joined the band. I think a year or so after me, something like that. Yeah, so he's been right. He wrote the last few records here. So
very cool. Now, is Jack touring with you guys as well?
He is. Yeah.
Okay, sick. Yeah, he's like the OG, original Cannibal Corpse guitar player.
Yeah, that's right. So we play. Yeah, it's a trip for me. So when we play Hammer Smash Face, and I've got those two guys on stage with me, it's a trip every time. Yeah, there it is. Nice. That's a great shirt.
Perfect. Yeah. I unfortunately don't have a 6 Feet Under shirt. I'll have to get one in the closet here. So.
Yeah. Nice.
Dude. So what is it like touring with 6 Feet Under and Chris and that whole crew versus touring with Waking the Cadaver? What's the difference between that experience for you?
Yeah, so with Waking, we've only been doing one-off shows here and there, so we haven't done like a long run yet together, although I'm sure we will. But yeah, they're pretty similar actually, and they're both in C standard, which is excellent for not having to set up my guitars. So so that's handy.
Excellent.
Yeah, both bands are really chill. Marco Pietrozella is the drummer in both bands. He goes by Lord Marco online. So he's my link in both of those. We're pretty tight at this point, having played all these shows together. So that's nice.
He's from Italy, right?
No,
he's
no,
Italian.
No, he's Italian, but he lives in Seattle. He's from Seattle. He's from California.
Okay.
Actually, he lives in Seattle. Yeah.
Got you, man. Yeah.
No, he's a fantastic drummer. He's very, very solid and always consistent. So, yeah. So with 6 Feet, we do the longer runs, and we go to Europe. Well, we used to go to Europe. We haven't been in a long time since the pandemic, actually. So, but yeah, no, both projects are really chill. The main difference between the two bands, I get to solo in 6 Feet Under, and Waking the Cadaver is just heavy riffs, just pummeling everything.
Dude, those riffs are impossible, man.
Yeah, they're crazy. Yeah.
How did you go about learning that stuff?
So Mike Mayo was the guitar player for a long time. When he left the band, I think he actually hired someone to tab out the songs. So luckily I had a rough framework to go, whenever anyone tabs out something, there's always something that gets missed or whatever. So
sure,
I just combed over those songs and went to it. The biggest challenge for me is the structures in those songs, because most bands I've played in to this day are still some form of like A, B, A, B, C, or A, B, C, A, B, C, D, or some kind of form like that. Waking the Cadaver songs are almost through composed. There's not much repetition. God. Yeah. So it's like riff A, B, C, D, E, F, G, it's in a row. Yeah. So learning these songs is a little different for me. I listened to them a bunch, but basically I would just learn one riff and then tack on the next riff, and then practice those two for a while, and then tack on the third riff, and then just keep layering. It was more like a process, like a layer like that. Yeah, that was tough. And there were some speedy things. I actually was using Dunlop flow picks for a long time. Get nerdy here with this stuff, but these guys.
Yeah.
I was using those for a long time. When I went to learn the Waking stuff, there's a lot of stuff that's like, above 200. So a lot of fast tremming. So I went back to the good old Jazz 3s,
Yeah, dude.
And as soon as I did that, like all those riffs just were super easy. Yeah. Nice. There you go. Yeah. Sweet.
I really like these too, man. I don't know if you've checked out the Dava.
Oh yeah. Picks. Christian hit me to those. Yeah. Those are cool too. Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've got quite a collection here,
nice.
as I'm sure you do.
Yeah, exactly. There's everything around here. Yeah, the V picks. This thing was when
dude. I love those.
We can talk about my technique journey, but when I was really finally learning how to sweep an economy pick, these were like super useful.
Oh, they're so good for a sweep. Yeah,
because they just glide through the strings. I could never play live with them because I'd break every string I have, but. Yeah, but
sure. Yeah. And dude, I feel like the V picks are awesome for clean and jazz guitar.
Yes, they sound great. Yeah, they sound really fat.
Really fat sound. Yeah, dude. Mm-hmm. Love it. I love how you already know exactly what I know about those. You're like, yep, already.
Yeah. No, they're awesome. I love them. Yeah, but
very cool, man. Mm-hmm. So, dude, walk us through like your journey with heavy music, and I know you're from Biddeford, Maine.
Yep.
Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
What was it like growing up there as a kid and getting into guitar? I would imagine maybe metal is not as common up there as it is maybe in New York City or something like that. But
right, yeah.
What was it like? And walk us through your bands and everything, East of the Wall, Cannabis Corpse, and so on.
Yeah, Maine. Yeah, so I grew up in southern Maine, so on the coast, sort of on the coast there, about 25 minutes from Portland. Yeah, in Maine, you do feel isolated from everything, So, we have our radio stations up there, which were mostly classic rock, but then MTV was the thing that, it was the big thing for me growing up. So, and when I was coming up, there was like the 80s, the hair metal band. So that was great for guitar, I think my first concert and my first band that I loved was Dawkins. So George Lynch has been a hero from like day one, pretty much. So I got a guitar when I was 11, actually, right before I turned 12. And, I had a couple lessons, and I I just kind of wanted to do my own thing, you know. I was really into Guns N' Roses and everything. I just wanted to play riffs, you know. I didn't want to hear anything that the teacher said, which, you know, which is in hindsight, I should have listened. But no, so I told my mom, I'm like, look, buy me one book a month, like, and I'll just teach myself. So, and she did, which was cool. I think the first book I got was the Randy Rhoads tribute tab book, which is the live record that they put out after he passed. So that was cool. So just trying to figure things out, going through tab books and
start with the easy stuff, man.
Yeah, stupid. And then, but no, my first obsession, you know, guitar wise, you know, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, and Jimi Hendrix. So, you know, so I was like getting into those riffs a lot, and then getting into the Randy stuff. Yeah, and from there, I just kind of kept teaching myself, and you know, it was a good era. There's a lot of those REH tapes were coming out. You know, the Paul Gilbert one, everyone knows. But like, you know, so there was a lot of. We didn't have you know. I wish I had YouTube back then. That would have been super handy. You know, just to see. We can talk about that later, but anyway, those instructional videos were great, and all the books. So I just kind of taught myself for a while, and then got into jazz around like freshman year in high school or so. You know, I was already playing in jazz bands and stuff, but I went to a record store one day and I got a Coltrane record and a George Benson record, and I just got hooked at that point.
Do you remember which ones you got?
Yeah, there was oh man, I just looked this up earlier. The George Benson one it's Uptown. It's his second record.
Oh,
very early one. Yeah.
So it's a bebop record?
Yeah, and he's just ripping. It's crazy. Yeah, it's insane. And the Coltrane one was the best of Coltrane. It was just I think it starts with Equinox and has giant steps on it and everything.
Yeah.
So really good introduction, you know. So that was a cool thing. And I was reaching the point where I was playing, you know, Metallica again and Megadeth and all that stuff. And I was just kind of like looking for more harmonically, I guess, you know, to study more than anything because I was so curious, you know. So getting into jazz kind of fueled that love of harmony and practice, really, you know. Like that was when I started getting that stuff is when I really honed down and like practiced the classic everything everyone does 6 to 8 hours a day when they're a teenager because there's nothing else to do, right? So yeah. So
that's the method, right?
Yeah, man, exactly. So yeah, anyway, sorry, fast forward, look, we can go more in depth of that later, but fast forward. So I started, you know, I went to college, came home, and then I formed this band Culpits, which is a kind of Deftones inspired band. And we started around 1997 or so. We got a small record deal in Boston, and we toured a bit. Our first tour was with Chimera on their first tour. And they got signed to Roadrunner on that tour that we had. And we played with bands like Shadows Fall and Unearth and Diecast. And those were our kind of peers at that time. That band broke up, and I got into post-rock like Mogwai and Sigur Rós and all those bands. Yeah, so all that stuff. So I formed a band called the Baltic Sea, and we made two records and an EP, and did that for a while. Playing a show with we played a show with East of the Wall's band. East of the Wall has a funny history. I'll go slightly into it. Basically, there was East of the Wall and this other band called Biclops. They eventually joined into one thing. Basically, Baltic Sea played a show with Biclops in Portland, and then they brought us down to, I think, somewhere in Pennsylvania to play a show. After that, they asked me to tour with them because one of their guys doesn't tour. I'm trying to give the fast version of the story. So,
you're good, man. Take your time, bro.
Yeah. So in the band East of the Wall, so I toured with them for a couple of years, and then the bassist in the band is Brett Bamberger. He left East of the Wall to join Revocation. So all of a sudden, Revocation's touring and doing some stuff, and he started recommending me for gigs, which was great. He recommended me for Cannabis Corpse. Actually recommended me for Dillinger Escape Plan too. They were looking for a touring guitarist, and I never really talked about this on a podcast before, but so I was talking to Liam, the bassist in Dillinger, and I was learning all the songs that I could. And I did that for a few months, and that was a trip. That was, you know, I should say, like, something about learning a band's catalog of songs. Like every time I do it, I feel like I raise up a level in my playing, like that my tightness and my hearing, and just like than the technique, obviously, but like the kind of musical awareness just ramps up, you know. And I hated learning songs when I was a kid. I would learn like my favorite parts of the songs and just skip and go ahead. And
that's kind of
practice,
how
you know?
I did it too, man.
Yeah.
So, dude, were you like imagining yourself having to just like thrash around the stage and play this material?
Yeah,
like when you're
no,
like learning the tunes and stuff.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. I was looking forward to that actually. Yeah. No, but yeah, no, that would have been tough because that stuff is very weird, you know, as everyone knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that didn't pan out. I didn't even get an audition or anything, but anyway, it was cool learning all those songs. And then, like I said, Brett recommended me for Cannabis Corpse, and then that led to 6 Feet Under, as I said before. So yeah, that's pretty
Very
much
cool,
that.
man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thanks for going through all that.
Yeah.
And man, I feel like you are into the exact same kind of music as me. Like I had a post-rock project called Mirror several years ago. I played more in kind of the metalcore scene, I would say, as far as like my touring experience. But I'm also like very much into death metal and also jazz. Like
awesome, man. Yeah.
Like a couple of years ago, I learned the Cooker like all the way through. Like,
oh wow. Yeah.
Didn't really get the picking down the same way George picks because he has such a unique
that Benson grip, right?
Yeah. I didn't get that down, but I kind of found my own way of playing that stuff.
That's cool.
Maybe not as percussive as he plays it, but I do have a video up on my Maine channel playing that tune. But if you asked me to play it today, it would be it would not be not be
that's
pretty.
Cool. I think there's something to that actually, you know. It's like I think that's a good thing, is to learn other people's stuff and not quite do it exactly the way they do, and kind of find your own way to play it, you know, because you find your own pathways that way on the instrument, you know. They find different ways to do things.
Dude, I think that's good advice. I mean, I think like George Benson had learned like the diminished scale like right before he went into that recording session or something like that.
Yeah, he's just ripping it.
Yeah, and he just goes right down all eight notes, you know, like right down diagonal.
Awesome. Yeah.
It's awesome,
crazy.
man.
Yeah, man. He's a beast.
He's a monster. Yeah. So, dude, how did you end up in Asbury Park, New Jersey, which I think is where you're at right now, right?
Yeah. So I was touring with East of the Wall, like I said, for a couple of years, and then we had a 5-week tour, and things were slowing down in Maine for me, and teaching was slowing down. Just kind of everything was slowing down. It just felt like the right time to make a jump. So yeah, after at the end of that 5-week tour, I just ended up being roommates with Brett Bamberger and Todd Stern, who plays bass in Psychroptic now. So so I've been here since about 2014 or so. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So you got into jazz guitar a little bit later, like in life. And you studied, like Christian was saying, that you studied with Charlie Banacos.
Yeah, Banacos. Yep, Charlie Banacos. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah. So my senior year in high school, actually junior year too, I went to this thing called the National Guitar Summer Workshop. Used to have this in Connecticut all the time, and they would have guest artists come and give clinics, and you spend a week there. It's sort of like a Berkeley Guitar Sessions thing, smaller version of it that they did in Connecticut for a while. Like I'm trying to remember who was there my first year. Michael E. Firkins, I think, was there. Some other rippers. Yeah, so it was a wild. But my senior year, Mike Stern gave a clinic. He did a clinic for 3 days, and that was like my favorite guitar player at the time, because I could hear the rock and the jazz combined, and I was like, oh, cool, this is like perfect. Yeah. This is right up my alley. So I had that clinic with him, and he had mentioned Charlie Banacos was his teacher. That's who he studied with, and I had no idea at the time. Charlie was a pianist, and he taught a bunch of people, Jeff Berlin and cats like that. But so after Berkeley, I only went to Berkeley for a year, and after that, I also went to the new school. But after Berkeley, I wrote Charlie back in the day and started correspondence lessons with him, and every lesson would be, he'd send me a sheet of music in the mail. Shoot, I wish I had some handy. I do have them all still. But he'd send me a sheet of music to practice and a cassette tape with instructions. And then I'd have to learn it and play it in all 12 keys, and then send him back the example in like 4 or 5 different keys. And it was great. Yeah. So very in depth.
is this like notation and chord symbols?
Yeah, it was all
Okay.
notation. Yeah. So just to give an example, the first lesson was just a C major 7 arpeggio with some approach notes in a very specific way that he teaches. And yeah, so I had to play that all over the instrument, all 12 keys, every possible way I could. And the next week was a different chord, minor 7th with a different approach, dominant 7th with a different approach. And he went through a series of 11 chords basically every time with a new technique. And yeah, that changed everything for me. Yeah, as soon as I started studying that.
Do those kinds of things, those 11 licks or approach tone ideas, does that show up in your soloing today?
Yeah, big time, all over the place. Wow. Yeah. That was
incredible, man.
Yeah, that was key for me. Not only, because I was like, one of the reasons I went to him is I was looking to see how Stern got that chromatic sound that he was doing, back then, and no books that I had. I had hundreds of books at that point. None of them had that sound. I couldn't find it anywhere, So as soon as I started studying with Charlie, I was like, oh, okay, cool, this is it, And then from there, it went on to different, he would go through the same chords again, but with scale, tone approaches, and all kinds of other cool tension exercises and stuff. So, yeah, and just the way he broke it down chord by chord like that is like influenced me to this day in my practice, So whenever I come up with a lick or a pattern or a new technique thing on guitar, I'll take it through all those chords. I'll make sure I can fit that idea through all those 11 types.
Oh, that's so cool, man. You've got you've got a system, and then when it's time to improvise, you've got kind of a framework. Like,
exactly.
Here's this chord. And you kind of know what to do. That's really cool, man.
Yeah, and it's cool because it wasn't, it was language more than licks, which I liked. I was never really a good lick learner. I don't know. I just would give up halfway through it, would lose interest. But these are like devices that show up in all my playing. Yeah, to this day.
That's amazing, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a great teacher. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of, there's this documentary that I watched on Joe Zawinul.
Oh yeah.
And it's him in his studio in like the 80s. Mm-hmm. And you may have seen this. He's got like all of his like African instruments and African inspired stuff like all around the room. And he's using some like early version of like, I don't know what he's doing, but he has like a screen, like an old like
computers,
computer screen from the 80s, and he's like loading sounds onto his keyboards.
Nice.
And he literally talks about how he never wants to repeat himself, and he would improvise for like, I don't know, a couple hours at a time and try not to repeat himself, and he would record it and then listen back to it.
Yeah, that's wild.
Like, and he's like a big proponent of like, he just talks about being like, when he was younger, he learned all these jazz licks and then he got bored of that. So his whole pursuit with like the Weather Report and everything after that was trying to create his own language and not do things that had been done before. Like he was like, he kind of like wrote that off as like, I'm not going to pursue that.
Yeah.
And I thought that was such an interesting approach. And personally, I stay away from, I know there's like lots of guitar centric licks, like especially in Nashville, like there's just licks that people play.
Oh yeah.
But I kind of learned that Allan Holdsworth school of just like learning scales and application.
Yeah.
And then using like, linear chromaticism and things like that to, but that doesn't always sound awesome. You know what I mean?
No, you gotta, it takes a while there's warts with that stuff. You gotta iron things out, and it's important to do that and to find your own voice and your own way. It's something that's, I don't think is talked about enough anymore. When I was growing up, that was the only thing people talked about, was finding your own voice, making your own way. And it's not easy, and you can sound terrible for a long time, but it's important to do, for me, it just makes me like, it gives me a sense of individuality. It's like, okay, I've worked on these things myself. Sure, I borrowed a bunch from people, like, you know what I mean? Like, even if I think I've created something new, I'm like, well, part of that comes from Coltrane or Brecker or Holdsworth or something. There's always parts that are borrowed, but it's important to find your own way. Even if you take someone's lick and twist it and just make it your own, it's so important to do. Yeah. You see a lot of guys who don't do that, and they haven't done it yet, because you can hear, oh, wow, that guy is really obsessed with so and so or so and so,
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
No, that's
which is cool. Which is cool too. But like it, if those guys just took the time and twisted things around and really thought about how they wanted to sound and present themselves, like we'd maybe have some more original players going around,
Yeah, man. Yeah. Dude, do you feel like a lot of younger players, I know you're a teacher, do you feel like a lot of younger players are just looking for like a framework to fit inside that they know they can like get a degree of success in their music? Including bands too. Do bands do that too?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's true. And I don't necessarily see, I think it's okay to have parameters to fit within, the problem that I've had, and maybe you as well, I'm interested in everything. Right. So
same, dude. Yeah. I have way too many interests, bro.
Yeah. So it's like, when I have bands or projects, I can't just be like, okay, I'm going to write something today. There has to be some kind of limitation or style kind of guideline or border that I'm going to try to create in, the only project I don't have the only project that's close to being kind of like, kind of whatever comes out is Gematria for me. We can talk about that later, but that's based in King Crimson, of course. So there's a little bit of a framework still there, but like pretty much I just let whatever comes out, I'll put in that project. For the metal things and other things like that, I'm definitely going for a certain kind of thing,
Yeah.
Yeah. I do see that with certain kids, as far as like, it's crazy to me. Like grunge is really big with the kids again. Like it's huge.
Oh, dude, I have a freshman in high school that's a grunge freak, dude.
Yeah.
He loves it. Yeah.
And I think maybe it just feels more real to them than what they're hearing. I don't know, but it translates and they love it, And the same new metal is sort of coming back, mostly Deftones kind of stuff. But you see, like, look what Limp Bizkit like came back huge, right? So everything that was cool is cool. It can be cool again, especially nowadays. So,
dude, I saw this meme and it was like a kid's outfit from like 2001. It was like literally like a child's clothing, and then it showed like a dude from LA wearing it, like wearing basically like a 25-year-old dude wearing children's clothes from 20 plus years ago. I thought that was
it's hilarious. But yeah, no, it's cool to see them digging into that music. And I think we're getting to an age where we're going to see more combinations of styles, which is what I really love, like the kind of, when people mix, just different flavors of rock and metal and stuff. And, a lot of people hate on Sleep Token, but I think there's like, that like that band getting as big as they have gotten is going to give people more permission to combine genres and combine styles and do whatever they want. And you don't have to fit in such a cookie cutter thing anymore. For me, metal, there's exceptions to what I'm going to say, but for me, metal in the past 15 years has been, okay, this is deathcore, this is death metal, this is, you know what I mean? This is tech, this is that. It's like, hey, let's combine things, man. Let's make some cool stuff that way, but so hopefully that'll start happening more. That's my personal favorite thing. And I think that's probably being, the 90s was big for me. So like all those bands, even Soundgarden, they combined a bunch of influences and things like that. And they're a big band for me. But yeah, so I hope that's the way things are going and things won't be so segmented anymore.
Me too. I mean, the 90s was such an interesting time because each band could be considered new metal, whether you're talking about Korn, Limp Bizkit, Kitty, like you're talking about all these different bands but each one has their own unique identity.
Yeah.
And that's what you just don't see as much anymore. It's like, oh, another deathcore band.
Right.
Oh, well, they sound just as heavy and brutal as the last band. Like, it'll be interesting to see how things pan out. I think it seems like metal is just exploding right now with like, Knocked Loose being on Jimmy Kimmel and
Poppy and Spirit Box, right?
And it's cool music too. I the only thing I don't like about Sleep Token is like the porno sounding songs or whatever,
the R&B stuff.
Really, the really sensual caramel rain like songs or whatever. I don't connect with it, and it's probably because I'm old, but
yeah.
But that stuff it's funny, man.
It's brave. I get it given to him. It's brave,
It is.
Yep.
Dude, so I wanted to ask you about your thoughts on like going to music school, and maybe we can compare like what it was like when you were like a kid getting ready for college. Because speaking from my experience, I feel like I didn't have a choice. It was just like you have to go to college. Like
Right.
there's no,
Yeah.
if you want to survive in this world that's
Right.
about to be created, you have to go to college. I think things have changed a lot, but there's a lot of YouTubers, Marbin being one of them, that's like really outspoken about music school and not going to music school and it being a ripoff. So can you share your thoughts on that, man?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So when I was going to Berkeley, I think tuition was, what was it? I think it was 20 grand a year, 24 grand maybe, right?
And what year was that?
It was 93. So that was a long time ago. So yeah, that was expensive for back then. That was really expensive, you know. And what is it now? 80, 75? It's something, it's crazy. And the thing Marvin's always talking about, it's like 250 grand total, right? You know, for like the 4 years. That's insane, you know, like how, like, you know, I mean, obviously it's like, you know, in the musician's life, it's like, that's pretty tough to make that kind of money to pay that back, you know, especially if you're paying it yourself.
Yeah, it might take you a decade to make that kind of money just playing music, you know?
Yeah. So just to backtrack a bit, for me, I was like, I wanted to get out of Maine. That was a big thing. So it's like, okay, let's do this. Let's go to Berkeley. I did get a bit of a scholarship, thankfully, when I was a junior in high school. My high school jazz band went down to their jazz band competitions that they have, and I got about half the first year paid for it, which was cool. Yeah, man. So when I have students that want to go to Berkeley, it's like, if their parents have the means, you know, I'm like, go.
Yeah, if it's inconsequential, go for it. But for most people, it's of significant consequence. I would say buy your kid a house if you're gonna spend that kind of money. Right. Just buy a house and like let the kid get a job and pay the mortgage, and bam, like they're off. Like if somebody did that for me, I'd be in a different place in my life right now.
Sure.
Not that I'm in a bad place or anything, but
no, I hear you. Yeah, no, totally. And you know, so the benefits of music school, well, you know, you will learn a lot. You know, I learned, even that 1 year at Berkeley, I learned a lot. You know, things that stuck with me. You know, I ended up passing out a lot of the theory classes, but the ear training class was great. The arranging class was fantastic. I think I learned more in that class than I did in any other.
Wow.
So that was beneficial. And even my time at the new school was the same thing. But really, you know, and the friends you make there, you know, it was great, you know, like, and those connections are the thing that when I recommend kids go to music school, that's the biggest thing I say up front is like, making these connections with people, jamming, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's such a big thing. You know, and I needed that buffer, you know. I don't know if I was mature enough just to go out in the world at that point. If I had it to do over though, I mean, I probably would do that again, but ideally I would just find my teacher. You know, once I found Charlie Banacos, like everything took shape for me. Like things just clicked. Like everything got better and better after that point. And if I had him when I was 17 and, you know, just kind of, you know, studying with him, I wouldn't have needed college. You know, one of the funniest things I told Charlie I was going to the new school, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I teach almost all the teachers there." I'm like, and I was like, wait, why am I going? Why am I, you know what I mean? I mean, the good thing about that was living in New York City and going to all the jazz shows and being exposed to all the good players there. But in hindsight, I wasn't really built for college. And I think part of that is because of my self-taught upbringing. I just kind of wanted to like do my own thing and kind of learn my own way. And having to go through a set program at those colleges was, I don't know, it just didn't click with me, you know. But having that one-on-one mentor was really more my speed and was more beneficial than anything. Yeah.
Dude, me too, man. And that's like one of my recommendations for people that maybe are kind of lost in life, and regardless of if you're into music or not, just find somebody that has their stuff together, has some good things going on in their life, and see if they can mentor you, or you know, I don't know if it's like if you want to sell cars or something, like see if you can get mentored by like one of the top sales guys in the area.
Find
you
the
know
best
what I mean?
guy.
Like,
right. Yeah, exactly.
And just take that and make a template and copy that into whatever field you're in. I mean, that's kind of, you'd be surprised how many people are just waiting for someone to ask them how to do something, or waiting to give advice.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, true. Yeah, everyone wants to help. You know, it's like, you know, most people don't want to help.
Yeah,
anyway,
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's it. Yeah. You find someone that's really good in what you're interested in, and just listen and take their advice. And
Totally, dude. So oh, go ahead, man.
Oh yeah,
Sorry.
no, so you know, the music school thing is tough. It's tough to recommend any of them anymore at the price that they cost. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you find out as you get older, like for me, I was like, man, I should have got my degree. I could have taught in a music school. I could have taught at Berkeley or whatever. And then, you know, then your friends start teaching at those colleges and they're not making much money. They're really not making much money either. And it's just like, you know, so that whole thing is kind of out the window. Even now I'm like, yeah.
Well, who gets the money?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Who gets the follow the money?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Dude, so I want to say it was either late last year or early this year you put out the Lewis Porter Quartet record, the newest record.
Yeah.
Talk about how a jazz record is made in like 2025, and how do you guys go about doing that? Yeah,
so I met Lewis by playing some other sessions with people, and we just decided to start recording together because we had a nice simpatico together. So let's see. Usually I'll start writing that stuff, and I like to write pieces that are a little more open and not so arrangement heavy. So I'll generally write a melody and chord changes in a form, and that's it. And we'll just go. It can be from things I'm practicing or whatever, you know, like one of Banacos's things was this huge system of pentatonic scales. Basically any 5 notes can be a pentatonic scale, you know? So
wow.
So he can't remember what number I was on when I stopped with him. 35, I think, was the 35th pentatonic I was on. But anyway, so I was studying one of those. Basically, he would give you the pentatonic and then all the chords that it would fit over. So I kind of would take something like that and like, okay, make a progression out of those chords and write a melody with that pentatonic. And then that would be the structure of the tune, you know? The first song on the new record, 4 Worlds, is like that. It's a pentatonic scale, which is just a major 7th arpeggio with a sharp 4 added. So, and that's your pentatonic, that's your scale. And the whole melody is that, just moving through different chords. Starts on E flat, goes to C, and then G flat and F. But, and then, so anyway, so I'd prepare a bunch of tunes, you know, so about 5 or 6, I think, on the new record of mine. And so, you know, I asked Lewis, you know, what drummers, you know, do you like, and what bassists, and he mentioned Rudy Royston, and Rudy plays with Bill Frisell and everyone under the sun. He's touring all the time. He's a great drummer. And Joris Tepe is on this latest record of ours. He's a great bassist, plays lefty, which is a trip. So it's interesting.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's got to be upright.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. So, so what we did, we booked studio time and basically spent about 6 hours, just play the tunes a couple times, some maybe 3 times, and just let it rip. The perfectionist in me always has a really hard time with the jazz records, because I want to leave them raw and improvised, and I don't want to touch them. You know, a lot of people overdub their solos in jazz, you know, doesn't get talked about a lot, but
yep.
And I really wanted to do that this time because I wasn't very happy with my playing on it, but I'm never happy in those things, right? So anyway, we recorded the record about 6 to 7 hours or so, and then I just let sit with it for a while, and then eventually I don't hate it too much, you know. But yeah,
dude, that's really cool. Yeah, I mean, Christian and I we're doing this like post rock jazz fusion thing. I don't really know what style of music it is.
No, I dig it.
Yeah, and we've kind of run into the same thing where like we will pre-record and mime on camera like all the other parts, but not the solos. So there's been nights where we're like till 2 a.m. we're up in this room
Oh yeah.
And Christian is like ready to throw his guitar on the floor, and you know how he's just a high energy dude.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, man.
and I'm like, come on, man, you've almost got it.
Yeah,
Or like,
yeah,
dude,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
cool. Like,
Yeah.
we can come back tomorrow, so.
Yeah.
But I just find that to be such a rare and lost art, man.
Yeah.
Having to go into the studio and play live.
Yeah.
And in fact, like, I feel like the modern musician has like catered their skill set to really not be able to do that.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true. Yeah.
And obviously we've got DAWs now, and we've got unlimited takes that we can do, and we can even like some guys record one note at a time,
right?
Or one phrase at a time, and I think that's a little ridiculous, but I just think it's amazing that you're putting records out that have improvised solos, man. I just think that's sick.
Yeah, there's humanity to it. Like the little mistakes are good. It's a human thing, because part of the overall expression of a solo or a performance are those little mistakes in there. It's part of that. It's the flow. It's like you're reaching for something. I don't want to sound perfect all the time, and I know that sounds weird, but I don't. Like it's like if I want to reach for new things, and I want to listen back and not know what I've just played. I don't want to recognize all my licks and my devices and my methods and stuff. It's great when you listen back and you're like, whoa, how did I get there? And that comes from being in the moment and kind of listening to yourself as you play. My friends and I talk about this all the time, but it's like when you're really in it, you're hearing everything. You're hearing your stuff, how it relates to the band. You're hearing, the emotional context of it and where it's building to and going. And there's nothing like that. You don't get that experience when you're planning your solo out completely, and the listener doesn't get it either. And they can tell, for sure.
Yeah, man. Yeah. There's a sense of spontaneity that you're getting when you listen to these records. And I definitely picked up on that when I was listening to it. I was like just driving around Nashville, jamming that stuff.
Nice.
It's really good. So that's the Lewis Porter Quartet, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely check that record out today if you're listening to this.
Yeah, it's called, that last record is called What Happens Next, and we have another one called Transcendent and another one called Longing. That was the first one we did, but yeah.
Very cool, man.
Yeah.
Do you guys play out in New York City or anything like that?
We haven't in a bit. We've done some gigs here in Jersey together. It's hard to get all four of them, all three of them, sorry, in the same room because they're touring and busy and stuff. So usually it's with different rhythm sections or whatever. But but no, we'll play. Lewis and I play with this guy Allan Lowe, and we play smalls and stuff like that in the city. But yeah, not much with that group just because everyone's so busy.
For sure, man.
Yeah,
that's cool, dude.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you about your other project called Gematria, which to me, it sounded like some type of like experimental prog rock thing. But dude, I really enjoyed like the Spindle of Necessity.
Oh, thanks,
that record is really great. And then the new track that you guys put out, I think it's like Black Hole.
Blackgate, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Blackgate.
Yep.
The solo on that is wild.
Oh, thanks, man.
Talk about how this project came together, man, and what made you want to write music that sounds like this.
Yeah, so I've always loved prog rock and King Crimson especially, and I met the drummer Steve Honoshowsky at a music school that we were teaching at, and we just were talking for a while about playing music. And the first EP we put out is just songs that he made at home, electronic bass with synths and things. He did all the bass and synths and drums, and I just kind of I wrote guitar lines over the top of it. So if you listen to that one, it's kind of more electronic music with kind of bebop heads and weird kind of things over that. During the pandemic, we decided to do another record, and I just started digging away at stuff. Using some methods where turning letters into numbers, and then turning those numbers into music. There's a whole thing on that I do with that. And just taking random things. Sometimes I have a dice with seven numbers on it, and just roll it and get the intervals from that. It's just kind of just getting outside of the norm of the way I usually write, and kind of having it more, come from this place. And then just trying to shape it into some kind of coherent kind of musical statement, a lot of that I wrote here by myself, and then Steve tracked drums. But some of the songs on that Unconquered Sun, he wrote the drums first, so he went in the studio and just did a drum composition improvisation thing that he cut up and made into a thing, and then I wrote to that. So that was cool. Yeah, that was really fun because I had to figure out what the hell he was doing, like time signature wise, and like what would fit over it.
Dude, the time signatures that you guys play are all over the place, bro.
It's stupid. And then some of that is because of that. He's like, he did this whole, like I said, that he just gave me this whole track, and I was like, oof, how do I make sense of this? The other song that's like that is called By Its Own Nature. That's the same thing that happened there. That was a cool experiment. Because I had to like kind of see a form within this drum performance, and make parts that fit that, and make a song structure that fit, but that was cool. And songs like Taming Power of the Small, again, I came up with a compositional method for that, and based on an I Ching, which is a form of divination. But so then I got 6 notes from that, like I had a hexatonic scale, and then wrote the piece all around those 6 notes, So.
Wow.
So yeah, big thing for me is limitation. I think I said a little bit of that earlier, but like especially with writing, stuff, I try to limit myself somewhat because we like so many different things. You can go in a million directions, but usually it can be as simple as a scale or a group of notes from that scale, and then I'll start there, and then it doesn't limit. The whole thing is not limited to those 5 or 6 notes, but it's a starting point to get the juices flowing. A lot of people think writing is just waiting for that inspiration, and it's not the case. It's when that happens, it's beautiful. You're playing guitar, and all of a sudden this idea comes to you, and you're like, oh wow, that's killer. Let's make a song out of that. But honestly, for me, it's like, sitting down, picking some form of limitation, messing around with that for a while, improvising with it, recording it, and then just picking out some parts, and then going from there and writing.
Dude, yeah, I think limitation exercises are really powerful.
Yeah.
And even going between different limitations in one composition, for example, can really produce a lot of great ideas, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think people kind of I think a lot of musicians psych themselves out when it comes to writing. They have to wait for all of the different conditions to be like perfect for them.
Yeah.
But I think if you make a habit of writing something every day, even if it's just one riff or something, like but picking up the instrument too, like it's hard to write stuff if you're not picking up the instrument.
Yeah. And I always find too, like, if I am in a dry spell, if I just practice for a while, especially practice new things, work on a new scale or pattern or something will come from that. Always. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great, man. Dude, I listened to another interview of you, and you were talking about doing some like meditating and kind of getting into like a flow state. Is that something that you do often when you're wanting to write some music or improvise or something?
Yeah, I find that a lot of this is getting out of your head. When you're in a writing rut, that's all you can think about is that you're in a rut. And there's no way out of it if you're thinking that. You can't just pick up the guitar and start writing at that point because you're you just keep hitting my mic.
Oh, you're good, man.
You pick up the instrument, you're mad that you can't write because you're thinking that you can't write, and you're stuck in a rut. And I find that be it meditating or reading or just getting your mind away from that place and finding a stillness inside, and then going back and playing, it really opens a lot of doors for sure. Yeah. Because for me, it's my mind, if I'm in that place where I'm like, oh, I can't write, and I'm stuck, it's hard. It's really hard to get out of that. It's super tough. Yeah. So
what types of meditation do you do, Ray? Like, is there a certain, like practice that you subscribe to?
Mostly, no, not nothing too specific. Mostly, I think people call it mindfulness, but basically, like, you sit and quiet your mind, and as thoughts arise, just don't engage with them. which is hard. I was just talking about this the other day with someone. Like the hardest thing was being a creative person. You're waiting for those random thoughts to come in your head. So when I first started meditating, I was like, no, I got to think about everything that pops in your mind. But once you do it, and once you let go of these things, you know, you get to this still place of calm, then the good stuff comes, you know, eventually. Yeah. So that's pretty much what I do most of the time. Yeah. Just still the mind, like don't engage with the thoughts. If you get distracted, just bring it back. You'd be surprised what that does for everything. You know, when you're playing music, you know, if you're playing music and you get antsy and you get anxious, you're going to go out of time. You're going to mess up. Things are going to go haywire. The more I meditate, the more when I play, I feel that calm state, that stillness, and I can stay locked in for longer. You know, yeah. For me, it was a huge thing because I had a hard time with that. I'm an only child. You know, like I said, I'm self-taught, so I've been in my head for all my life. You know, so sometimes when I'm playing and get distracted or get anxious, it just will throw my whole flow off. You know, so meditating was huge for that. Yeah, for me.
Yeah, man. There seems to be like this like overarching theme of like esotericism and maybe even some occult influences in the Gematria records. What kind of interested you in those studies and those ideas?
Yeah, you know, say nothing too dark, you know, nothing on the dark side of things. Mostly it's about how the mind works. You know, a lot of that esoteric, you know, study is about your mind and how you operate and your creativity and your connection to whatever you think is bigger than you. Doesn't matter what it is, you know, like just the connection to that source. You can think of it as, you know, so that was, you know, that was always attractive to me, but also the numbers thing. I'm huge on numbers. I just always loved them, you know, since I was a kid. And music is all numbers, you know, and I've always related it to that way. And patterns are big in this whole discussion as well. So a lot of that stuff, like, you know, the Gematria is when they take the word and every letter has a numerical value and it adds to something. So that is easily turned into music, you know? So yeah, I just find that it just investigating different ways the mind works, different ways people think, you know, just as a way to kind of explore yourself has been invaluable to me. I also need to learn like every day, like something I need to either practice or read something new or try to explore some new topic. And then when I get interested in something, I go all in usually, you know, but if I don't do that, I get pretty depressed.
Yeah.
And that mental health will suffer pretty bad, you know? Yeah. It's a tough cycle once you get in that place, you know, but if I keep pushing and keep learning and things, you know, then things equal out, balance out, which is nice.
That's awesome, man. I think that's a really healthy way to live your life, you know?
Yeah.
Are there any things lately that you've been kind of like digging on or like checking out that interests you? Or maybe a book that you've read recently that was awesome?
Oh man, there's so many that I'm checking out right now. Man, let me think about that for a second.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah. So lately it's been more music stuff. You know, I've been going back and listening to Michael Brecker and transcribing some lines and then making a practice routine out of that, you know? So that's been the past couple weeks, and then try to figure out his devices and then make devices out of those, you know? So
wow.
Yeah. So, you know, he does a lot of melodic minor stuff. So I've been really working on that. I'm really into cooking too, you know. I'm always looking up recipes and trying to make some new stuff. So that's been a big thing lately as well too. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, just trying new things and keeping things fresh that way.
That's really awesome, man. Yeah, you'd get along with my wife when it comes to the cooking stuff.
Nice. Yeah, cool.
She will we'll be at a restaurant and we'll eat something, and then like 2 days later, she's like got the ingredients to make it. And
that's awesome.
She's like, I wonder how hard it is to make this. And so she's made like some really like fancy Italian stuff. She's made like pho. She's made ramen. Yeah. She really likes the Asian food. Like she figured out how to make ramen. Of course, that took like 2 days.
Yeah.
So
That's great. Oh yeah.
Yeah, man.
That's good for you too. The tasty food.
Oh, dude, it's I have to be careful. Like, I eat very well around here. And in fact,
nice, man.
Next time you're in Nashville, man, if you want to come by, we'd be happy to make something for
definitely.
you.
Yeah, definitely.
We usually cook for the guests
nice.
on the show. So
cool.
This is actually the first online interview that I've done.
Oh, no kidding.
So
okay.
Thanks, man. I mean,
yeah, of course. Yeah, thanks for having me. I know. I was thinking maybe in the fall because 6 Feet Under is doing a tour in September, October, where we're not coming to Nashville this time. You know,
yeah. I think
talks,
I saw your dates. Indianapolis looks like the closest. Date. Raleigh, Destin, Columbus, Ohio. Yeah.
There's another tour in the works for next year, so hopefully,
man,
we'll get back there.
We'll kick it at some point.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, man.
No, the Gematria stuff was fantastic, man. Like,
thanks.
A lot of the time that like prog rock stuff, it's like kind of taxing on the ears and the brain. But there's something really like chill and pleasing about those records, man. Like I felt calm. Maybe it's the synth sounds and the frequencies, but like I was just like, man, I'm so chill listening to this stuff right
that's
now.
Awesome. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
No, yeah. So prog can grate on me after a while too, and I wanted to make this stuff as listenable as possible, and not to have the songs go on forever either. It was big. A lot of those songs are under 4 minutes, which is kind of unheard of in the prog thing. But I wanted each of them to have their own mood, and there is a nice calm thing that goes through that record. There's some hairy moments, of course, but there's especially in the middle of the record, it gets really kind of peaceful and stuff. Yeah, by its own nature is maybe one of my favorite things I've ever done, and that's one of the ones that Steve did the drums for first. So that was a cool experience.
I'll definitely re-listen to that. It really reminded me of Return to Forever, Romantic Warrior.
I love that record.
Just those synth sounds. Like I was just like, man, this is Romantic Warrior Part 2.
Nice.
I was like, this is so sick, man.
That and Mahavishnu Orchestra are also big on that influence on that stuff. Man. And just doing some all the synths on that are pretty much Arturia's Oberheim model. I think it's called OBX. Yeah, it's just all the sounds are straight from there.
I love Oberheim synths, man.
Yeah, me too. Those are my favorite. Yeah.
Very cool, dude. So if it's cool, I just have a couple more questions for you, man. I know we're getting close to like an hour here, but
all good.
So Christian actually wanted me to ask you about this, but recently on Instagram,
where is he? I thought he was gonna show up. Where is that guy?
Yeah, he was supposed to. Yeah, dude, he was supposed to be here, but he's like traveling. I know. Dude, I think he was fishing today. Honestly, I think he was out on the water. He was like, man, if I get off the water in time, I might be able to jump into it. And I'm just like, oh man, I can't imagine like fishing for 12 hours and then wanting to do a podcast. But
we should talk about Christian more. He's great, man. And he had that band Circuitry, and I almost joined that band. Actually, I was learning this stuff.
No
that was
way.
The whole time. Yeah. I was started learning stuff, but this was around the time I was learning all the Dillinger stuff. I had no time for anything else. Yeah. Yeah.
No, Christian's awesome, man. Like he hit me up like last fall and was like, hey man, I'm moving to town, and do you have any suggestions on like places to like different parts of the city to live in? And I kind of like steered him in a direction of safety, because I used to be like a Lyft driver, so I used to drive all over the city. I know I don't want to say I know every nook and cranny, but I know like Nashville pretty well at this point.
Nice.
So I kind of helped him out with that, and I think he was surprised that I hit him back, and so he's a very talkative guy and easy to talk to, so we just kicked it off. I had known him from Circuitry and known him because way back in the day, my friend Frank Pasquale built him a guitar, and then he built me a couple guitars. And so I had heard about Christian, and Frank would talk about working with Christian, and Christian was really particular about his neck shape.
Yeah, he's really particular,
and stuff. But it was just weird how life happens, man, where like I could see myself being friends with him back then, but I just didn't live in proximity to him. And I bumped into him at NAMM a couple of years ago.
Oh, nice.
At the summer NAMM. So we hit it off there. But now he's like coming over to my house like once a week, and we're working on this project
awesome.
together, and it's
That's cool,
it's
man.
exciting. But
yeah, it's awesome to have a guitar buddy, you know, because like a lot of guitar players are just so isolated, and some of them get, you know, the ego thing can kick in. They don't like even hanging out with other guitar players, you know. So, but yeah, no, it's killer when you have a bud that you can you talk all shop with everything that you do, you know. Just cool.
It's super cool, man.
Yeah,
it's super cool. I mean, he's given me some ideas. He's kind of like helped in some ways where, you know, I'm getting in my head, or I'm like, I've got some negative self-talk, and he's kind of like, we've both talked each other out of, you know, situations where we're kind of a little bit of toxicity in the brain, you know, when we're trying to track.
Oh yeah, that's the worst. Yeah, it's the worst, man. Yeah. That voice is the killer, man. Yeah,
it's kind of like that thing that's like, man, what are we even doing here? You know, like like, and we actually wrote a tune, and we were kind of building it in the DAW, and like, I'm like, what if we did this? What if we did this? And then we listened to it, and we just fucking laughed because it was so bad. We're just like, oh
man,
this we cannot do this. So then, like, you know, Christian pulled out another idea, and then the song basically wrote itself, you know, and it was like one of those situations. So it's just funny. But yeah, I was really amazed by he's got great time. His bebop skills are just on point, man. They're just awesome.
Yeah, he got a lot of the Banacos stuff from his teacher at Berkeley, I think Richie Hart, or maybe it was someone else. But yeah, so he has a lot of that same kind of background, which is cool.
Yeah. He's just a great player, man. He's really driven. He's got a lot of energy, which I definitely feed off of that.
Yeah.
But I think Christian, just hanging out with him, I think he's maybe a little disappointed that he isn't maybe like more well known in the guitar circles, which like every guitar player has that thought, you know, like, why am I not? I've done X, Y, and Z. Why aren't people getting it? You know? Yeah. Why is a guy playing a Deftones riff on, you know, Instagram getting 2.5 million views, and we're playing jazz fusion and we're getting like, you know, 600 views or something? So
no, that's tough. You know, and I'm just lucky, really. There's a lot of players, you know, we have a lot more strengths than I do. I just got really lucky. Like, I met, you know, I worked hard, I put myself out there, obviously, and I was ready for every opportunity that came. But like, you know, I met the right people kind of at the right time, and I worked hard and made it happen. But yeah, I see a lot of my friends, they just don't, that one connection just doesn't happen, or it takes a while, you know. It took, you know, and again, I should say I didn't have a lot of success until, I joined 6 Feet Under when I was 41. So, you know, there's time. It's like people, you know, I mean, you know, when I was younger, I thought I had to have it all figured out by the time I was 25. Well, by the time I was 25, my first band toured, and we didn't get signed, and the band broke up, and I was, you know, if everything failed at that point, you know, but you just keep going. The key is persistence.
What if you quit back then at age 25? Look at all of the stuff that you've done, man. I mean, Gematria, 6 Feet Under, Waking the Cadaver. I mean, dude, you're doing stuff, man, and it's really cool stuff.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. And the key is just to keep going and keep putting yourself out there. It's the biggest thing, you know. And you know, the lust for the result, the lust for like that success can be a hindrance sometimes, you know, because that's all you start thinking about, and then you start getting envious, and envy is also a killer. I struggled with those things for a long time. And as soon as I stopped that, this was in Maine before anything happened. I stopped that. Well, I mean, you know, everyone's used to, it's hard not to get envious sometimes, but I mean, I was excessive with it, you know, and just hating on everybody. Oh, that guy's not that good. Fuck that guy. You know, whatever. It's like, you know, that guy doesn't deserve this, but that kind of energy is not good for you, you know, doesn't help you at all. Doesn't propel you.
I think it's a form of self-torture, man, actually.
Yeah. Yes, it is. It is. And as soon as I stopped that, everything opened up. Like, all the things happened after that. Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, I mean, I was getting more opportunities when I was 23, and I didn't know shit about shit, man. Like, I didn't know anything, but people were like, please join my band, please come on this tour. You know, and like, I was playing guitar like like this, you know, like that was my left hand technique.
Oh man,
gent,
last week. If you want to talk about that, I got tendonitis from doing that. We'll talk about it.
yeah. So and you know, now I'm playing like this, like But anyway, I'm like 10x the guitar player that I was like back then, and like not, you know, I'm not getting a lot of opportunities, so I have to create them, which I'm happy to do. But that being said, you know, like it's kind of unfair to compare my journey with my other peers, like that are around my age that are in successful bands. I mean, those guys, I took like a hiatus of like 10 years, you know, from the music world. And those guys have been doing it since the time I left. So I just have to remind myself that, like, dude, those guys are they've been in it for so long. So it is kind of hard and frustrating for me personally to kind of re-enter the music space. Like this podcast is kind of part of that, reconnecting with people that I used to be involved with.
Yeah, but man, you rip. You got loads of technique and musicality and everything. Yeah, just keep going and keep putting stuff out there. You'll be all right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm determined to keep doing stuff. And like, I think what I want to do is just build community with people. Like, get to know people like yourself, man. You know, learn what I can from every guest. You know, and just like hopefully provide people with something that is worth watching. You know. Yeah. So
nice, man. Yeah, you're doing it. For sure.
Thanks, bro. Well, dude,
what kind of trouble did Christian want to get me into? What was the question there?
Well, so we've been sending each other these Marbin reels because they're just unhinged, man.
Oh,
they're
He's
crazy.
saying all the quiet parts out loud.
I'll just kind of like, I'll summarize a couple of these reels. So he has a reel that talks about how, like, man, no one is forcing you to stay in music. No one is forcing you to keep trying to make it in music. Like if music is not making you happy, like you need to just leave. Like, like no one, like quit torturing yourself. That was like one of his messages.
I can speak on that a little bit. Like I think we all go through points of wanting to quit. Now, those happened to me the most when I had those attitudes that I was just talking about, when I was envious, when I was hateful, when I was, I also didn't, like, a big flip for me was just finding enjoyment in practicing and not being anxious about it. I always thought, oh my God, I got to learn this. I got to learn that. I got to learn this. I got to learn that. You know, I mean, you know, when you start to learn the guitar, you know, you have to learn all these keys, all these scales, all these positions, all these arpeggios, all this. And it's overwhelming when you're younger, or even when you're older, it's overwhelming. But as soon as I let that go and just found the enjoyment in the moment of practicing, of playing, you know, like all that went away and got better, you know, like, and those thoughts of quitting just went away, you know, like, you know, quitting the music business. Now I could see people doing that because the music business is tough and it's not, you know, there's a lot there that's not easy or fun, you know, and just playing for yourself and getting better every day. You know, I could see people doing that. Like my teacher, Charlie, he didn't perform. He stopped performing. And his whole thing was just doing music for music's sake, which is cool. You know, music for music's sake only. Yeah. Yeah. You know, so yeah, that Marvin video is right on point. You know, a lot of people, I think they beat themselves up for a long time. And you know, I don't think anyone should quit, you know, but like, it's like, okay, maybe take the weight off having to provide your living from it for a minute. And then, you know, you might find your way back, you know. I've worked tons of shitty jobs, you know, we all have. And it's just like, whatever it takes to pay the bills, you know. Again, I feel lucky I got teaching that takes care of that now, you know. That's the main source of my income, really, you know. And I wouldn't trade that for anything. But yeah, some people, I think, it's, you know, different mindsets again, you know, if you can, you know, make music the thing that's fun, that nourishes you, that you're working on, you know, that's not killing you at the same time with anxiety and worry and fear. It's like, then you get to a good place, you know, you can just play music and practice and write and get your stuff out there. And
dude, I think you found like the right mindset for that big time.
Yeah, it was a lot. I mean, it was years of depression and you know what I mean? This is like, it's feeling terrible, you know, but
Yeah, and I think Marbin, like, kind of the tone. I think people what they don't like about Marbin is not really what he says, but how he kind of comes off. He's got these big lips, and he's right in your face.
So snarky, man.
Yeah, he's snarky as hell.
Yeah, he's so funny. Though. He's really funny.
So he kind of like one of the videos I saw today, he's kind of like talking about how like people were trying to cancel Marbin, which Marbin is a jazz fusion like experimental band. And so he was saying like we're already at the bottom. You can't make us go.
You can't cancel us.
And there were like pictures of like dudes in wheelchairs and stuff, like to kind of express his point that like that's who you're punching down on right now is the people in the wheelchair.
Said like 97% of his fans are named Mike, and they have a ponytail and are growing boobs. You know, so it was just funny, man.
And women's vaginas immediately get dry when they hear a solo
fusion tone, fusion guitar tone. He's crazy, man. He's a great player. I mean, he's a monster. That guy can rip. Yeah,
I first heard about him back in 2017 or 2016 because he was like the last guy to tour with Holdsworth.
Oh yeah,
they toured Europe together.
Yeah, I just
heard like that. I think they were in like the same like van.
Yeah,
you know, hanging out with Holdsworth, and unfortunately he was around Holdsworth when
he was at a low point.
He was at kind of the end of his road, and he was like leaving his Kiesel headless guitars at bars. You know, he was drinking and so
it's sad. I met him once at NAMM, man. His hands are huge. You know, I would dare to say they were probably that much bigger than mine.
Oh my god,
they're massive hands.
So you shook the hand of God?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
dude. Hell yeah.
He was sweet. He was a really sweet guy. Yeah, but
were you able to ask him any questions or anything?
No, he had it's hard to explain his vibe, but he had a kind of closed vibe, you know, really sweet guy, really nice, but he didn't want you to ask him anything, you know. He just wanted to be there. So one of those things, but
wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, man. So I think another thing that I saw Marbin say, you know, or what he's kind of known for is he's just making these very unhinged reels, and it's like kind of rubbing people the wrong way, so he gets a lot of hate. But then there's a lot of truth to what he's saying, and like one of his videos he's talking about these thirst trap female guitar players, right? Who sound very mediocre when they're playing, but they get so much praise and so much love because they're wearing like a low cut shirt. They're presenting themselves in honestly kind of a sexual way, which like I guess like, you know, maybe some of us guys can present ourselves in a sexual way, you know, like I guess Steve Vai kind of does that maybe a little bit, with like back in the day with how he moves on stage and stuff. But I think there's a disingenuousness with that, and there's like an almost like an over celebration in our culture to like give so much honor and praise to these female players, where if you close your eyes and you listen to what they're doing, it's really nothing that compelling. So what are your thoughts on that, man?
Yeah, that's a problem with the internet in general, you know. I mean, you know, and again, like sex sells, right? So it always has. So that's going to be a thing. Like, I don't get jealous of that anymore. It is what it is. Like,
me either, man. It's just an observation.
No, and he's right on the money. And you know, the same thing goes for like when you get like what's that guy's name? Giacomo, that guy that was faking everything.
Giacomo,
Giacomo, you know, good looking young guy, right? Always had like nice looking videos and perfect presentation. Same thing there, really. It's just eye candy for guitar nerds or whatever, you know.
Also like highly edited,
and just no substance there, you know. Yeah. And it's a shame because people like that take away from the great female players that are out there. There's a lot. There's a lot of great players.
Man. Yeah.
And they're inspiring, you know, and you know, same thing with the guys that play that more funky fusion like the Giacomo did or whatever. There's millions of guys out there that are ripping that stuff, you know. So that's probably the most upsetting thing about that. Just takes attention away from the actual real players that are doing it, you know. But yeah.
For sure, man.
But he's raising some eyebrows with those takes. It's just funny.
Yeah. He's a guy I'd love to get. Maybe I'll get him on the show if I can.
Yeah, you should. Yeah,
but I'd love to pick his brain.
Oh, him ripping on the Berkeley teachers is just
wow,
hilarious. Yeah, it's hilarious.
Wow. Yeah, dude. I wanted to take. I wanted to look into like, hey, maybe I can take a lesson with Tim Miller. Like he's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure I could take like a one-off lesson or something.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But I was like on the Berkeley website and I was like, okay, Tim Miller, and I like selected the courses and stuff and put it in the cart.
Yeah.
It was like $7,000, you know? And I was just like,
yeah, you can just hit Tim up probably online and just get a lesson. Yeah. Yeah, he's great.
So
yeah.
Well, dude, real quick, if I could just ask you about guitar stuff, man, if we could just nerd out just briefly.
Yeah.
I don't want to take up too much of your time, but
no, all good.
Previously you were endorsed by Vigier guitars and then Framus, and now you're with Suhr guitars. Like, what was it like working with some of these different brands, and why Suhr guitars today?
So Vigier was cool. I was always obsessed with Vigier's because of Sean Lane. Sean Lane was a huge hero of mine, of course. And yeah, he should be everybody's hero, you know. So I was like, man, I gotta play one of those. Those things are so cool again, you know. And then when I was in East of the Wall, the rep was from New York, and he kind of knew, you know, East of the Wall and wanted to work with the band. And I was like, yeah, cool. I'll get an Excalibur or whatever. So I used that for a while. The tone on those was not my favorite after a minute, but they're really cool because they played obviously really fast, and there's no truss rod in them. The neck never moves. So it's like it really never needs a setup. And on the road,
is it a carbon fiber neck or something?
No, they have, but it's a strip down the middle of it. So it's a wood neck with the carbon fiber strip down the middle. I think it's carbon fiber. Yeah. So and it really never moved. And there's a 0 fret on those, which is odd, but like it keeps the action really low all the way up. Every note feels like an open string almost. It's hard to explain.
Whoa.
But like, yeah. So that was cool. And then when I joined 6 Feet, the bass player was with Warwick at that time, and I was in the Framus guitars. I always thought looked cool. I played one and liked it, so I got to deal with them for a second. Framus and Warwick kind of cut back on a lot of their sponsorships. I don't know, you'll see guys like Ryan Martin and Nick from Job for a Cowboy. They were big Warwick guys. They're now up with other companies, you know. So that kind of went by the wayside. I was with Ibanez for a second, you know. Ibanez are great guitars. Always pick up any of those. They're total shred machines.
Love them.
Yeah. And then during the pandemic, I was just like, I got tired of playing the endorsement game. You know, there's, you know, chasing people down for this or that. Like it's a, you know, I just got tired of playing it, you know? So, and I was just like, I'm just going to kind of play whatever I want. So during the pandemic, I got a Suhr Strat, white Strat that I play a lot, Classic S, and I got a modern as well. I also got a Heritage Les Paul, which I really love. The guitar is great, but
I've heard those are great. Yeah, one of my students have those.
Yeah, lots of sustain, great tone, and the quality for the money compared to Gibson's is through the roof. But yeah, the Suhr just like I just fell in love with them. Yeah, they have a nice even tone. They play great, and yeah, they always something about them always cuts through in a mix, which is great, you know. And I didn't have an endorsement with them, and I ended up getting another Suhr before this last tour in January, and we played California, and unbeknownst to me, there was a builder there from Suhr, and he
at the show.
At the show. Yeah,
cool, man.
And he posted on Instagram after like, oh, it's great to see a Suhr in a death metal band. I'm like, oh. Yeah. So I wrote him I went to his profile. I'm like, oh shit, he works at Suhr. And I'm like, I just like, hey man, thanks for the post. I love your guitars. You must be a great builder if you're working for such a good company. And that's all I said. You know, I didn't really say anything else. And then a few days later, he's like, oh, I talked to the artist rep about you, and they want to give you an artist deal. And I'm like, oh, great. Thank you. You know, so it was cool.
Awesome,
that kind of happened organically, you know, just from someone seeing me play and stuff, which was cool. So
congrats, dude.
Thanks, man. So yeah, with 6 Feet, I use a modern. I have a couple different ones. And then, mostly I play the Strat at home. Yeah, which I love.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
So 6 Feet Under is all C standard 6-string guitar material.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, C standard. I'm Waking C standard as well. I just got a Suhr 7 actually, which I love here.
Oh, cool. I'd love to see it, man. Oh, purple, dude. That looks awesome,
cool.
bro.
One of the coolest things is this neck.
Oh my God.
The tire stripe kind of flame.
So roasted maple flamed neck. What a killer guitar, bro.
Yeah,
that's sick.
Cool. Yeah. So that's the 7. This is the main one I play in 6 Feet Under. This
Beautiful,
is,
bro.
Yeah, the top is nice. Same thing, roasted
sick.
maple there. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, I've used Christian's a couple times when came over to the house, and I mean, something about he's got like special pickups in his. I don't know if they're Suhr pickups. Maybe they are.
Yeah, I think so. Mm-hmm.
But you're right, man. They just cut through the mix. Going from, I would record some stuff with my Malmsteen Strat, which does have some, that's
cool. What do you have for pickups?
Just the YJMs, man.
Nice. Yep.
Which these might be the best Strat pickups ever made, in my opinion.
Nice. Cool.
They're totally silent.
Oh, awesome.
But they still sound like Stratocaster.
Nice.
But going from that guitar to one of the Suhrs, it was like I don't know. It felt like there was 15 dB gain added. You know,
right.
Those pickups are just hot, compared to that one.
Yeah, so, yeah. The mids are really nice too. Yeah, and those.
Yeah, man.
Cool.
So well, that's sick, man. Like we've gone around to the guitar shops in Nashville and played some other Suhrs that are for sale. And unfortunately, they're pretty expensive guitars, man.
Yeah, they're pricey. Yeah, they're worth it, but they're pricey. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you get one or two of them, I feel like you're set for most situations. Like Christian's playing every style of music with his Suhrs.
Yeah, it's so cool. I know.
So it's cool. Just like you don't need to bring a bunch of guitars. You don't need to even own a bunch of guitars. That's you get something like that. So
yeah, I've been paring down. I know recently because I have too many, as we all do. Yeah.
Heck yeah, bro. Well, dude, what's coming up next for you this year? Where can people follow you, man, and pay attention to what you're doing?
Yeah, so I have some Waking the Cadaver shows playing Fort Worth this weekend at the Rail, and then next month we have 3 shows. I'm spacing where they are. I think Kentucky, Indiana, and Maryland, I think. Yeah. And then September 20th or so, the 6 Feet Under tour starts. Yeah, which is cool. We're playing the Aftershock Festival in California, which should be cool. Yeah, and then as far as following me, just online, just at Instagram, Ray Suhy, just put in RAYSUHY. Same thing with Facebook. You can find me there. I don't have a website anymore, although I'm looking to get another one built up. But yeah, just Instagram and Facebook for now. YouTube, I have a YouTube channel as well, and a TikTok, which I never use. But yeah.
Awesome, dude. Yeah, well, I can't thank you enough for your time, man, and sharing your knowledge with the masses. Everybody that's watching, make sure you follow Ray. He's one of the best guitar players that I know. He plays jazz. He plays metal at a high level. He's a rare breed, so you definitely want to pay attention to what he's up to. So, Ray, brother, thanks for hanging out with me today, man.
Thanks, Drew. Thanks for the nice words and everything, bro. Yeah.
Of course, man. Yeah. This is great.
Cool.